All right, guys, welcome back. So I first want to say thank you to everyone who's been tuning in and subscribed. It's been awesome. I'm still processing all of it, and I'm just beyond grateful to get to be able to talk to you guys and help anyone in between the comments, the Instagram DMs, everything. It's been super cool, and I'm really grateful for that. So with that being said today, we're going to go over this idea of why talent does not matter and obsession will always win, okay? So kind of the first part I said, right, break it down. Talent does not win. Obsession will forever beat talent, okay? Talent is this idea that you might be born with or whatever, but obsession will always win. Look at the greats like Conor McGregor, Kobe Bryant, etc. Look at the greatest, the best of the best of the best. They were simply obsessed. More often than not, actually, there's this idea that the talented ones don't ever really make it, right? Because in order to do something day in and day out, you have to be obsessed. You have to be almost borderline crazy and delusional. You really, really have to, right? And so it's understanding this idea that you could be talented all you want, but being talented is its own separate thing. That's talent, that's cool, but the guy that's obsessed is going to win every single time, because when you're obsessed, you wake up at 6 a.m. every single day and you get to work and you do it and you put in 10, 12, 15, 18 hours a day, right? Whereas then the talented guy, he doesn't put in that many hours, right? And so if you're a young person watching this video, and this is something that even happened to myself back in the day, what happened is I wasn't naturally maybe the most talented at sports, but I was the most obsessed. I was most obsessed with just succeeding in life in general, right? Where all my friends were handed all these things, and all my friends were like, out of my 5 best friend group, 5 of them went to play Division I baseball. I was the one that didn't go and play D1 baseball, all that stuff, right? And I look back and I wasn't in the moment as a 12, 14, 16, 18-year-old, whatever. I wasn't maybe obsessed with baseball per se, but I had to put in a tremendous amount of effort, let's say, right? And to be on the same team. For these guys, a lot of us handed them, they were in a starting lineup no matter what, whether they got it or they didn't, whether they were playing well or not, they were talented. They were naturally talented. They were big, they were athletic, etc. But none of them were obsessed, right? And so now you take it, go forward 8 years, right? And we're all 26 now, and they just I love them, but they're doing their 9 to 5 stuff, and I'm here doing this, right? And so my point being is that obsession will always win. Talent will fade out. And if you're a young person that's worried about, I'm not as talented as my friends, it doesn't matter. You have to be simply more obsessed, though. That's the key, is you have to be more obsessed. Talent is going to fade. Talent does not get you to where you need to be, okay? And so in order to become obsessed, though, there has to be this idea where you have to understand that that's what it takes to get to where you want to be, right? And so anything when you're referring to obsession, it also, like I said, goes hand in hand with this idea that talent is rather irrelevant. Talent is maybe the first part of it, okay? Sure, you want to be talented, and maybe that'll help you propel you a little bit quicker, but that is 1/10 of the issue here, right? And so in order to be obsessed, that's what keeps you going at 6 a.m. That's what keeps you going through all the no's. Let's say you're in door-to-door sales. Obsession is what keeps you going after you've been told no, the door's been slammed in you 5 times in a row. Obsession is what keeps you going and learning once you've won. What happens is most people, when they see their first check, their spending habits change, they plateau, and their hunger and their desire to learn, their obsession with learning fades away, right? Once they see a baseline level of success, their desire fades away. That's just being talent, and that's your plateau, right? For a lot of people, the minor leagues is the big leagues, okay? And what I mean by that is the big leagues is just never something they really even think about, right? And so think of it like this. Let's say you're a billionaire. Let's say all this hard work you've been putting in one day renders the abundance level on a financial level of becoming a billionaire, right? That means you have to see $100 million 10 times over. Most people quit when they see a couple $100,000, let alone $1 million, let alone 10 million, let alone 100 million, then 100 million 10 times more. That's obsession. That is obsession. That is being absolutely obsessed. And you have to be absolutely obsessed with what you're doing, right? Obsession is what gets you up in the morning, what keeps you grinding, what keeps you focused. Obsession is what keeps you wanting to learn. More than anything, more than even the obsession of, it's like obsession of what? It's an obsession with improvement and learning, right? And that's where when obsession meets passion, that's when things transcends in your life really changes, right? Because talent is only so much, and I would beg to differ that almost talent doesn't even really matter. Being talented means nothing in the grand scheme of all this success and when it really matters. And what it comes down to is when you're obsessed, you don't care what anybody thinks. Success leaves clues, you guys. And what you have to understand is that the most successful people for a long period of time, and still are to this day, were viewed as different, weird, crazy, etc. But when you're obsessed, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And then if you take obsession into like the sales realm or anything like that, and sales is the fundamental of all entrepreneurship in my opinion, so take it to any level of business in general, right? When you're obsessed and you're so passionate about that, when you're speaking to someone and you're doing door to door, you're on the phone with someone, you're closing someone for your high ticket product, your high info product, whatever it is, right? There's that obsession transcends through the phone. That obsession is felt. That energy carries over to other people, right? I think of yourself as a vessel. Think of you're not a body. You're not a body with a soul. You're a soul with a body, right? And this is just your vessel, right? And so what happens is when you're obsessed and you're truly operating at your highest sense of self, like I've told you guys, right? There's a frequency spectrum. On the highest frequency spectrum, and your body to emit the highest vibration and frequency is authentic self, gratitude, empathy, abundance, etc. The lowest is negativity, not being yourself, lying, anger, etc. Right? And so in order to when you're operating at authentic self, which means you can be obsessed because you don't care what anybody else thinks, that's truly what you feel. When you're able to operate like that, that vibration carries into this vessel, and this vessel becomes so big. Think of yourself as the higher vibration you operate at, think of the bigger this vessel becomes. This soul, your energy that your body emits becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And so then when you do that over time, you guys, what happens is when you're obsessed, because also to backtrack a little bit, when you're obsessed, you don't care, you don't need to see results today. Most people quit because they don't see results in a day or two. Mm-hmm. You need to be able to see results over years and look at things from an annual perspective, you guys, okay? And so when you're obsessed, seeing results from today doesn't really matter, right? And so when you're obsessed, what happens is your vessel gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And when you're in sales or you're a company, right? Let's say you're the owner of the company, the CEO, visionary. What happens is people look at you and they say, this guy's obsessed. This guy loves what he does and he's obsessed. And that vibration carries out. It's contagious. Obsession and passion is contagious, you guys. It literally is contagious. And so like sales, leading a company, anything at all, life is sales within itself. That vibration is carried over, right? And even if it's not in a business context, it's obsession about just being better and being the best that you can be, you guys. All right. So that being said, you guys, I really want you guys to understand that, to recap all this, is that talent is really almost rather irrelevant. It doesn't really matter. If you're a young person watching this and you're worried that I'm not the most talented, it doesn't fucking matter. You want to be the most obsessed and be the most obsessed with knowledge and learning and improvement. And over time, year after year after year, you will win. I promise you that. Okay. And so last and final thing, guys, understanding that in sales, in business, and everything that it is, whether it's leading a company on a sales phone, your vibration, your frequency transcends and other people can feel that. Okay, that's why when somebody walks into a room and they have that energy, it's that unsaid thing, that's the same exact thing. It's this vibration and frequency that you operate at, right? So with that being said, you guys, appreciate you guys. I'm super grateful for everyone that's been along for the journey. It's only been at it for like a week and a half, you guys. We're over 100 subs. I'm super excited. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. You can reach me out to me on my Instagram DMs or on the comments in here. I respond to everybody. All right, guys, I'm super grateful, super excited. Stay confident, stay grateful, and keep on growing, all right? And remember, talent doesn't even matter. Obsession always wins. Get obsessed. See you guys.